So I'm thinking about this Jupiter-Uranus conjunction. The most exciting transit of the year. This happens on 4/20. 4/20, ha ha ha. Uranus in Taurus, Jupiter in Taurus, meeting up. They haven't met up in Taurus since 1941. That's amazing. So what can we expect this week? Definitely breakdown, breakthrough. Some shift in our ability to receive divine grace, reaching into new areas, maybe unexplored territory, to find the wisdom, our true wisdom, lived wisdom, wisdom that is, and knowledge that is experienced and embodied, not a concept. So that's what's in store. If you have planets or points in your chart, like your rising sign or whatever, within 3 degrees of 21 Taurus, so you figure like 18 degrees to about 24 degrees of fixed signs. So that would be Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, Aquarius. That's when you'll really feel this impact. I know I am. Here I am in a new place. I'm not in front of my office. And live coverage. I wasn't even planning to do this video. I just thought I'm going to take a break. But then I just let go of the past and I decided to be here now. So that's live coverage, right? Just the Uranus invitation is be here now, drop the past. This is a great opportunity to drop trauma or trauma patterns from the past, especially around self-worth, around money, and how we value ourselves, our self-worth, our self-esteem, our sensuality, our feeling that we have a right to be here in the body, in the third dimension. There's some, with Jupiter there's some divine grace that's allowing us to access higher dimensions of ourselves that we've either never experienced before, or just finding new pathways, new neural pathways that will provide liberation and healing from old stuck, right? Taurus, stick in the mud, old stuck patterns that have kept us back. So this is wonderful for that. Certainly it's getting us out of our comfort zone, but in a good way. So there could be some real windfalls, some really major realizations. As I've said before in previous videos, certainly about technology, but also ourselves, our ability to, with Jupiter and Uranus, this knowledge that there's a knowledge that's coming online that's available to us that we can move forward with, that will really dynamically shift our future. What I realized too is Jupiter and Uranus conjunction, when you think about it, could there be a financial windfall or some major change like that? Yes. Now you have to remember, Venus is the ruler of this conjunction, Taurus, right? Venus rules Taurus. Venus is the south node ruler for these eclipses we've been having since last spring of 2023. So you want to look at that and like what old ways of relating and relationships, and our relationships to, for example, money, do we have that there's a divine grace that allows us to see it from a very radically new perspective that's based upon the future, that's literally a break from the past, right? Uranus is always about breaking from the past. So that's all very exciting. Out in the collective, it's interesting, what's happening right now. I would say, this is a very short video, I'm just going to say, really pray for Israel and the Middle East. Israel's sun was at 20 degrees of Taurus, so this is happening right on top. And Iran fired rockets, drone missiles, and all these things that were intercepted yesterday by the U.S. forces, as well as, there's this proxy war going on. And they were able to deflect these. Although I'm praying for this one little girl that got hurt, who was part of the Bedouin community, and I feel for her. She had intense shrapnel wounds, so I'm just sending her lots of light and healing energy. But anyway, just praying for Israel for the highest truth to evolve and to to stand in its highest light. And I'm just done with the whole retaliatory strikes, and the pathway to peace is not going to be like the past. The way we've had, the world has, in the West, has defended itself. It's like we're it's calling for a new. We can't go on like this. It's just this endless war stuff is like we're done. Everybody's done with it. So maybe this week will give us a breakthrough in for these leaders, sending light to all these leaders to help them understand this and to really grasp it and embody it. That's my prayer. The little girl, all those people in Gaza and in Israel and Iran and Iraq and Afghanistan and the rebels in Yemen and all of these areas that that have been Syria, all of that is just sending the highest light and frequency, because our consciousness shifting is what's shifting it. We have this power. If there was anything there, it's like Dorothy's ruby red slippers. You got the power. You don't have to wait around for somebody to grant it to you. Uranus says, no, this is something you claim here and now. So anyway, I would also say too, so yes, Israel is very much impacted by this transit. This transit is happening in the 6th house of the USA chart. And the 6th house rules the workplace, the office workplace, work culture, workers. And I just saw on YouTube this short of these robots in Amazon. They were testing robots, and you see them picking up a bin of goods and turning around and carrying it and putting it down on this other table. It's like, oh goodness gracious, it's like robots in the workplace. Anyway, there's that, but there are other things that are perhaps not as intimidating, that are here to help us. And so I saw that 6th house USA, but also and health. The health is a health house, so the health of a nation. So there's this opportunity to grasp and get help with, say, trauma eating, eating patterns that are in health that has to do with trauma, and releasing old unhealthy patterns and stuck patterns of like comfort food, and what that has cost us, and the ability to move beyond that and to maybe get some new dynamic, liberating dietary guidelines in place for the masses, for the collective of the United States, at least. Interesting that in Biden's chart, Biden has his, this is happening right in exact opposition to Biden's Mercury, which is the mind, the thinking. So there's some kind of, we've known since he's had eclipses in these 6th and 12th houses in the Taurus-Scorpio axis. That was the health houses for him, and they are. And so this Jupiter-Uranus conjunction is happening in his house of the 6th house is what we struggle with, and our health, our diet regimen, our physical health. So there could be some dynamic breakthrough with all that this week. We could see it, happening. There could be something that comes in, like an intervention. And, that regards his mind. I mean, look, it's pretty clear that he's had cognitive issues. I don't think anybody would argue on that. But what happens there remains to be seen. And so, those are the two things that I really wanted to emphasize, is, this ability for ourselves to realize, and this knowledge that exists in nature, it exists in our resourcefulness, and gaining confidence and hope and clarity, revelation about how resourceful we really are when stuff hits the fan. Like, we are pretty damn resourceful, all of us, no matter where we live in this world, not just the United States. But there's this, it speaks to this, finding this resourcefulness in the face of, say, sudden changes, be it an earth change, like an earthquake or something, and finding that resourcefulness and leaning on each other, and coming together outside the people that you normally wouldn't hang with. That's the other part. You're seeing all these people on YouTube Shorts, Tucker Carlson, I personally, I've never vibed to Tucker Carlson, but he's been saying there are people who are jumping lines now, right? This is the interesting part. So Pluto and Aquarius, right? So people who you never would think, that are on your side, or who you consider on your side, are like, wow, that person has something interesting to say, and it's not about being in one particular party. It's like we're finding this commonality, the Uranus thing. There's some wonderful revelations around commonality and coming together that are outside our normal ways of being. So that's exciting, and that's something to celebrate. So yeah, that's all I really wanted to say about that. Yeah, and here I am in my live coverage, right? I have a different hairstyle. I'm sitting in a different place in my house, and it's like it's okay. It's okay to break from the past and do things differently, like I am doing it right now. So every moment is a new moment. We have to remember that. So anyway, yeah, that's all I have to say today. This is Irlianna Samsara, live coverage of the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction. It happened last time in Aries. It's always, by the way, I just finished by saying it's always associated with technological breakthroughs. So previous one, Jupiter conjunct Uranus in Libra. We landed on the moon the day that was conjunct, exactly. Another one, I think of Steve Jobs. He had natally Jupiter and Uranus conjunct in Cancer. And when Uranus made its first square to that particular point, it always happens when you're about 21 years old. Well, what did he do? He and Steve Wozniak tinkered in his garage in Long Beach, California, and they came up with the first Apple computer. So it was the beginning, right? The initial lifting off of that genius. Jupiter-Uranus conjunction is genius thinking, right? He was born with this, and of course it was the home computer, Uranus and Cancer, right? So this revolution in the home, because all you youngins, before that, the first iteration of computers they were the size of rooms. They were these huge rooms full of computers. Nobody had ever thought of taking a computer and putting it in somebody's home, but Steve Jobs did. So there is an example of a great tech breakthrough. And of course, I've shared in the previous video on the the April astrology. This theophany is another great Jupiter-Uranus conjunction in Taurus. So, seeing God in nature, seeing, like, really getting that the divine revelation that comes when we are fully embodied and connected to the earth and connected to our bodies, and what outrageous breakthroughs happen when we clear ourselves of trauma, clear ourselves of past trauma. And I have half my face not showing. I don't care. So a lot of great stuff that's available to us. Bernadette of Lourdes, she saw Mother Mary at these late degrees of Taurus, and then there was the UFO incident in Cape Girardeau, Missouri in 1941. Same thing, it was like, wow, look at that resonance, the divine visitation, other dimensional, like ETs or Mother Mary, and where does that all hang together? Well, it can show up in many interesting astrological placements, but Jupiter, Uranus, and Taurus, we see Jesus at the water cooler. I don't know, or or just feeling the divine presence and connecting with our higher selves, our future selves, that is engineered, and the conduit being grounded, being on the earth and grounded, and feeling that wisdom, feeling transformation, embodying it. It's not a dogma concept of the intellect out there, and it's Taurus. I feel it, I sense it, I see it, I smell it, I touch it. So yeah, it's pretty outrageous. All right, well, I hope you've enjoyed this and gotten value. Please do like, share, subscribe, and I love hearing from you. How are you going to spend this week? What are you going to do? How are you going to celebrate this? And it's going to be over time, too. It's a seed that's planted, and it'll play out over time. So just like the moon landing, you know, that opened a whole new chapter of expression in our culture. We sent more missions to the moon. Out of that, we had the Challenger, the space shuttles, and all that, you know. So there are progressions and things that happen and flowering. But, you know, the eclipses, this was within 2 degrees of conjunction for the total solar eclipse. And so that plays out over a few years' time. So, yeah, we'll see a lot more of it. All right, my dears. Well, much love to you all, and I hope you have a great week, and we'll see you soon. This is Irlianna Samsara, StarSound Speaks, StarSoundastrology.com. Thank you all for listening. Namaste.